Hey tea heads, this is Don from Maley. You know, sometimes you just want an immensely fragrant, aromatic tea session, and that's what I'm expecting to get today with this new tea in. This is Consort's Smile, also known as Fei Zi Xiao black tea from Tongmu. Can you believe it? Tongmu is just knocking out the most incredible teas. Tongmu, for those of you who don't know, is a small village. We've been there. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to actually go and virtually visit Tongmu yourself. It is the place where black tea was first invented, and it's sort of like the old world of black tea. It's the old school. It's the origins of black tea, and yet it's still so innovative, and it's just knocking out the most incredible black teas that are, you know, pushing the boundaries and experimenting. It's just so wonderful to have this old world terroir, but not a reliance on just making traditional teas. And this is one of those teas. Fei Zi Xiao comes off the back of the sort of trend that started with Jinjunmei, Jinjunmei being one of the most sort of expensive and talked about teas in the world, again, produced in Tongmu. And, you know, off the back of all of that innovation and all of the success of Jinjunmei, all of these new black teas are coming to the market. Fei Zi Xiao is an immensely aromatic tea, and I'm glad that we finally managed to get some in this year. So let's quickly scope this tea, and then I'm going to be drinking it, and I'm going to be telling you why I think these teas are so important in at least my cupboard. So spring 2023 is the season. Cultivars the Fei Zi Xiao variety, small leaf variety, origin Tongmuguan, Wuyi, Fujian, China. Picking on this is they say budding up to 2 leaves. It looks more like young leaves to me, sort of, you know, slightly larger picking, and the elevation is around 1,200 meters. So I'm brewing in my Dueni Junda pot on the Gongfu vessel with my peach cup, so no gong da bei needed. I like to brew this way for the smaller setups. If I'm brewing at my desk, then this is how I'll tend to brew. I'm brewing in the Dueni today. I think Dueni suits black teas very, very well. So let's get these leaves in, and then we'll talk about them a little bit more. Pick up the stragglers. Let those leaves heat up. One precious leaf fell down into one of the holes in the Gongfu vessel. Those kinds of things annoy me. I want to go fetch it. Anyway, so while that's heating up and letting those aromatics sort of start to come out, let's quickly talk about this tea. Fei Zi Xiao is a black tea, and the translation of Fei Zi Xiao basically is concubine smile or consort smile, and that's actually the name of a type of lychee. So a lychee that supposedly, the story goes, and you know, there's lots of stories, there was a lychee that was brought to the royal courts, and one of the concubines loved it so much that, you know, it became known as the consort smile or concubine's smile. And because this tea has such intense aromatics, fruity aromatics like lychee, it's sort of been named Fei Zi Xiao. So we're calling it Consort Smile. Some people may call it Fei Zi Xiao, and you could be called lychee black tea, but be very, very careful. There's lots of lychee black tea, which is artificially scented lychee black tea. And this tea is renowned for its incredible fragranced aroma, very, very sweet, very, very fruity. So let's dive in and see what this batch has for us. Okay, so there will be lots of fruits talked about in this video. So let's start off with peach candy, boiled sweets, like, you know, boiled sweets, peach candy. There is some mango, but very, very sweet mango. There is grape juice, but red grape juice. So very childhood for me, red grape juice. So peach candies, mangoes, red grape juice. You could probably pick up a whole other load of fruits. Guava, more on the tropical end, sweet and tropical. Lychees, not so much right now, but that'll probably come out when we rinse it. But, and this is the important thing when you're sourcing Fei Zi Xiao, you don't just want that fruity fragrance. There has to be something extra to counter it, something extra to just provide some, some 3 dimensions to the tea. And in here, I'm smelling shortbread biscuits. So it's a bit buttery, it's biscuity. I'm also smelling poppy seeds, which is a very common smell for a lot of Chinese black teas, is that poppy seed smell. Like if you grind down poppy seeds, it's got a slightly woodsy nuttiness to it. So if you imagine those poppy seed rolls, the sweet ones from Eastern Europe, that smell is different to wood and it's different to nuts, but it sort of, for me, has a slight in between with a little bit of a varnish kind of quality to it as well. All right, let's give it a rinse. So the brewing parameters on this I recommend is about 4 to 5 grams per 100 ml. I like to brew these teas at 95, but you could go up to to boiling point. So 95 is 205 Fahrenheit. You could go up to boiling point because it's not super young leaves or super small picking. So, between 95 to 99. If you wanted to punch out a little bit more body to it, then go hotter. Okay. And when I mean body, I mean like not body in the mouth, but actually sort of like more, a little bit more edge in terms of the finish. To get a little bit more astringency out, give it a bit more structure, you can do that. So I'll start with 95 and then we'll see how we go. Okay, let's give the elephant this rinse. Okay, oh, little straggler here. Always pick up the stragglers. Here we go. Oh, so if you've had Eastern Beauty, Dongfang Meiren, or you've had Guifei oolongs from Taiwan, that bug-bitten aroma of muscatels and honeys and geraniums and fruits, that is sort of here. It's definitely in that zone of those very fragrant fruity teas. It is slightly different, and let me try to sort of explain the difference. This is more candied. This is more like tinned lychees in syrup. It's sweeter. It's a little bit more tropical. I'm also picking up peaches, but so you could also see canned peaches, but I'm going to say peaches in yogurt. So very childhood thing for me is like a peach yogurt. So slightly sour on the nose, but then with that very sweet peachy fragrance. Yeah, peach yogurt. And again, it's not just about all of those bright notes. There is definitely some structure underpinning it. I am now starting to get some sort of woods, like a wet pine wood note to it. And I'm actually picking up a slight bit of Turkish delight. So a little bit of chocolate and then the floral notes. And the floral notes are moving slightly towards geranium. And there's definitely still some muscatel here as well. So the geraniums and muscatels that I normally associate with bug-bitten teas like Dongfang Meiren or Guifei from Taiwan are here, dialed down a little bit compared to those, but then amp up the very, very sweet tropical fruit notes and the Jinjun style qualities of Turkish Delight, where you're getting roses and chocolates, and then, you know, some of that pine wood quality, which again is a very is something that I associate with Tongmu Guan. They have a lot of knotwood pine knotwood there, which they use to smoke Lapsang Souchong. Okay, so we're going to brew it up. So as I said, we're going to brew it up to 95. We're going to actually, you know what? Change my mind. I'm going to go full boiling and see, because I think that these lees can handle it. I'll probably put on the brewing instructions 95, but you know, play around. 95 to 99. So 205 to 212 would be a good window of temperatures to play around with. So these kinds of very fragrant sweet teas, I love to have them in my cupboard for a few reasons. The first, of course, is simply to enjoy them like I'm enjoying them today. Sometimes nothing beats those very, very fragrant, fruity, you know, knock your socks off, you know, aromatics of these kinds of teas. Especially recently, I've been tasting so many green teas because, you know, I'm doing all the spring tea sourcing. So many green teas and so many pu'er teas, shang pu'er teas. So I've been tasting so many of those very, very heavyweight, brothy, rich, but much more about the sort of plant matter teas. Is this going to fit? I haven't actually tested. Oh yeah, perfect. And so sometimes it's just so good for me to have a break and have these more sweet, like aromatic, you know, high, bright, like lift you up kind of teas. Oh, that Turkish Delight note is the surprising entry here. And it's great, you know, counterpoint to those lychees and tinned peaches or peach yogurt, definitely guava, a little bit of custard apple, lots and lots of tropical fruits, a little bit of paper, like a new notebook, you know, just that fresh reams of paper in there as well, which is a lovely, leads to a sort of a very bright, fresh sort of feeling about the tea, sort of moving into the direction of fresh laundry, but not quite there. Right, the color is a lovely sort of burnished orange, you know, burnt sunset sort of color. Cheers, everybody. Look at the texture on it. Looking voluptuous. Texture is thick, soft, and kind of creamy. It has a sort of oily, creamy quality to it. Taste. Just opening up. Lots of sweetness. Lots and lots of sweetness. Like I'm getting syrups. So, you know, those tinned peach syrups. So we will talk about tinned peaches. But that syrup, so it's very sugary and peachy. So much peach, an incredible amount of peach, and very, very vaporous. Again, a mark of a high quality tea from Uyi area. The minerality or that yen yun that is often talked about from teas from these sort of volcanic rocky areas of China, I always associate with a little bite, but then a lot of vapor. And that vapor is in full effect here. Very peachy, very sweet vapor in the mouth. Wow. Again, extremely peach candy, like those little peach boiled sweets, which is lovely, as I said, considering I've spent the whole morning tasting greens and shungs. What else do we have here? Magnolia. Floral notes, fruity notes. So floral notes, I would say like white flowers like magnolia. I'm still getting those poppy seeds. I'm still getting the woods and the fresh reams of paper. I'm getting the lychees. I'm getting the guavas. Let's see, anything new. And I do think that 99 is good because it brings out that mineral quench that leads to the vaporousness. But I'm now gonna let it cool down a little bit and bring it to 95. It's at 96 now. Bring it to 95 and see how that switches it up. It'll soften out the finish, but let's see if that compromises anything in terms of the sort of vaporousness of the tea. So this is 95. Warming in the stomach. And I'll add about 5 seconds. But with everything in brewing, it's always about feel, and if you've got great tea, it's very difficult to mess up the brewing that much. Obviously you can, and obviously you can get extremely geeky with the parameters, but just do it by feel. It's the best way for you to educate yourself in brewing. So I reckon that that's about right. You can see the color is similar. Color. Right. Let's take the lid off, let those leaves breathe a bit. Cheers, everybody. So this is at 95. Still hot. Woo. Extremely fragrant. I've got no other fruit notes for you. I'm amazed at the combination of the addition of that little bit of chocolate. It's only a little bit, but for those of you who've had other teas from Tongmu, you'll know that pine wood and chocolate note is sort of intrinsic to the terroir, and it's there. I think that this would be a very different tea if you took the same cultivar and you grew it in, let's say, a more new world or sort of younger terroir quality, or a terroir that is not so mineral and not so woodsy as this part of Fujian province. It may be a little bit too poppy, if you know what I mean, a bit too sort of lightweight, because you'll have lots of this sort of fruit-forward aroma, but then not much to back it up. This doesn't have that. This has got the complete package. What's also interesting is there's a sort of creamy element which is developing here. And when I say magnolia flowers, I sort of associate magnolia to be a white flower in the same way as sort of maybe the lotuses and the orchids, but with a little bit of a creamier quality to it. But I'm getting an almost vanillic kind of quality to it. I'll even go as far as to say that it reminds me of like cake frosting, buttercream cake frosting. Now it's not like full-on confection, but there's that buttercream confection creaminess there that complements that creamy mouthfeel that I was talking about before. Yeah. So we've got the creamy, we've got the mineral, we've got the woodsy, we've got the chocolate, and then we've got bags and bags of fruits and flowers. And those fruits and flowers are much more in those tropical sugared notes, lots of candied notes as well. And it leaves my mouth with the most wonderful sweetness in my mouth. And so the second reason why I like to have a tea like this in my cupboard. So the first reason being because it's delicious and you can have incredible sessions, with the tea itself. The second reason is this is an amazing tea to introduce people to the wonders of truly pinnacle quality black teas who are more into sweet things. I often get asked the question, I love sweet tea, I love, I only drink sweetened black tea, or I love, sweet foods, or, sweet drinks in general. Which tea do you recommend? This would now be one of the top of the list, because it's got so much sweetness in the mouth. And so if you want to have a tea in your cupboard that, you could pull out to introduce people who are more of a sweet tooth into the sweet elements of tea. And I've done a whole video about sweetness in tea. I'll put a link in the description below so you can understand where that sweetness comes from. If you want one of those teas, or if you want to gift a tea to somebody who's sort of starting out their journey and they've got a particularly sweet tooth, this is a great, great candidate for your consideration, because it's undeniably sweet and candied. Right, let's have a sniff of the empty cup. And then I'll have one more brew. Oh, again, a great combination. So what immediately springs to mind is cereal bars. Breakfast cereal bars, touted as healthy but full of sugar, right? Cereal bars, not flapjacks because they're too treacly, but cereal bars that have cherries in them. So cherry cereal bar, but you can get some of those cereal bars that have like a yogurt glaze, yogurt, however you say it. I say yogurt, a yogurt sort of glaze. So it's like yogurt and cherry cereal bar. Amazing. With a little bit of a floral face cream kind of scent in the background. But it is all about the creaminess, the slightly sourness of the yogurt, and then the sweet, sweet, sweet fruit, candied fruit in there. One more infusion of this. And the third reason why I think it's important to have teas like this in my cupboard is because these kind of potent, intense, aromatic black teas are incredible for blending with other teas, because they are just so punchy. They'll give you that aromatic that you can transform, or you can create amazing blends just with a small addition of this kind of tea. And what I'm specifically thinking about is everyone has in their cupboards some teas, probably especially black teas, but all tea types, but I'm thinking mostly black teas here, that are not pinnacle quality. Let's say maybe they've sort of gone past their prime, or maybe they were never that great, but they were sort of a gift or a purchase that you didn't really love. Maybe they're a bit too woodsy, they're a bit too astringent, or maybe they're just a bit like one-dimensional. This is the kind of tea that will just transform those teas because it's so aromatic forward in its personality. So those are the three reasons. Enjoying it for the wondrous tea that it is. 2, for introducing people who have very sweet tooth to the wonders of pinnacle tea. And 3, using it as an ingredient to pick up and lift other teas in your collection. Right. Third infusion, just as sweet, just as aromatic. Which one do I prefer, the 99 or the 95? I actually think I prefer the 95 because I think it suits the character of this tea. It's that very, very aroma forward. But if you felt like you wanted to pull out more of those dark chocolate notes in there, then bump up the temperature to 99. All up to you. Everything in brewing is personal. Let's take a look at these leaves. I'll take out this bamboo scoop. Hopefully you can see that, but I'll bring it to the other camera. You can get a good 8 infusions out of this, so this is certainly not the end of my session. There'll be at least 5 or 6 more infusions. Beautiful, rich, auburn, red chestnut colored leaves, glossy, twisted. You know, it's such a beautiful quality about it when you see that sort of glossy, oily quality to the leaves. So here you have Consort Smile, another just standout winner from the most incredible black tea producing village on earth, no question about it. I don't think that anyone can argue with that. Tongmu is the champion. And as I said, I just love the fact that you have such an incredibly famous old world terroir that, you know, could easily just rest on its laurels and just keep producing its traditional teas. But since the sort of explosion that happened from Jinjun-mei, it's all about innovation there. They're still producing the traditional stuff, but innovate, innovate, innovate. And I love that, you know, using this incredible terroir to create such innovations. And I do think you can get Feize Xiao, this cultivar growing in other parts of Wuyi, but Tongmu is 9 times out of 10 gonna win the race compared with other teas, even from the hallowed area of Wuyi. Definitely a worthy tea for any cupboard. That's it, tea heads. Check out our other videos, taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags, keep drinking the good stuff, and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.